Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key industry people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. In each podcast, we look to discuss aspects of pharmacy operation and how technology is improving or interacting with each guest's current role or pharmacy-related business. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and today's guest is sponsored by Shopfront Solutions, leading the way in digital marketing and communications, providing a cloud-based platform for pharmacies to manage all of their digital messaging and print-based collateral. For more information on the Shopfront Solutions digital platform, simply go to the website at shopfrontsolutions.com.au. I'm talking today with pharmacist Nader Mitri from PharmaPrograms. Welcome, Nader.
Oh, g'day, Scott. Good to see you again.
Always great to catch up with colleagues, and you're right, we've bumped into each other, I guess, a bit on and off through the years, and I've certainly enjoyed every interaction that we've had, and it was great to, have this invitation to participate in a podcast with you, and I'm really looking forward to our chat today. So, as much as you and I have known each other for a few years now through our pharmacy connections, for those listening today that may not know, who is Nader Mitri?
Yes, so my journey in pharmacy started way back in 2003 when I started pharmacy as a pharmacy student at the Trove in Bendigo. Spent a lot of time in pharmacy. It's nearly 18 years and that's half my life. So I know the industry really well, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. After finishing pharmacy, I went and moved down to Geelong, joined as a junior partner in a group of chain of pharmacies. Before venturing out onto my own, and owned 3 pharmacies for about 10 years, which was a really, really great experience. I really enjoyed every moment of it right up until the end. And, I learned a lot through those 10 years of being a business owner and a sole trader and everything else. And it was, when it got towards the end, I did start to get a bit tired and a bit burnt out. I've got a young family. I've got 3 young kids, 3 young daughters, and I decided that I needed a bit of a change of scenery to just to start to take a little bit of pressure off myself and spend a bit of time with the wife and kids. So I sold the pharmacies, all 3 pharmacies in 2018, which is quite a cathartic experience almost. I remember when the last of my shops settled, I kind of sat in the car and thought, okay, right, they're all gone now. What do I do now? And luckily enough, it was a really bizarre experience. And then luckily enough, having been around in the industry for quite some time, I got the opportunity to work at PharmaPrograms. And my role here as a general manager is to work with the team, make sure that our programs are getting the best value that they can for our partners and pharmacies as well. And so PharmaPrograms is a great business. We've got 12 programs currently in the market. We've got a team of about 15 people that work here full time, which a lot of people wouldn't know, from pharmacists, IT developers, marketing, the whole lot. And it's a really, really great experience working here.
Yeah, and on that, we'll chat a little bit more about that in a minute. But I guess as part of your journey as a pharmacist, you've been involved, or you've used a few of the regular tech platforms that are around pharmacy at the moment. So can you just give us a bit of a rundown of what you've been involved with from that perspective?
Yeah, so as an owner, I was heavily invested in the technology that my pharmacy was using. At the time, particularly when I was running my pharmacies, technology in pharmacy wasn't a big thing. Pharmacists didn't traditionally spend a lot of time investing in platforms or the infrastructure that they needed to run their businesses effectively. POS systems and dispense systems were just kind of there, but not really. I didn't feel that pharmacists were utilizing them well enough. So I took the time to work with different POS vendors and different dispense vendors, and eventually set it on a system which I felt for running, small multi-site owner worked really well for me. And all the traditional experiences working with Fred Dispense and Zed, and then also switching often between GuildLink and MedAdvisor. And, it was kind of towards the end of my time as a business owner was when businesses like MedAdvisor were really starting to take off and really put their foot in the door of the professional services engagement platforms. And so it was really interesting to see how patients started to engage with that, and also how pharmacists started to engage with a platform like MedAdvisor. There's a lot of trepidation, and a lot of pharmacists didn't quite understand what it meant or how it worked. Some, to be fair, some of them were a little bit clunky at the time because it's a little bit convoluted. They were developed, by developers. They didn't really fit into the workflow of how pharmacists operated. But I think they've come a long way now.
Yep.
Of work actually with Pharmacy Alliance they were doing a RFP of sorts for their group POS and dispense vendors, and so I was involved in that as well. And I also did some work with Z Software. I did some training and installations for some of their new sites in Victoria, which was actually a really good experience. So I would go out to the stores, do the installation of the conversion of the dispense and POS systems over to Z, and then I would also do the follow-up training for the next couple of days. And I found that helped me in a number of ways. One, understand how other pharmacy businesses worked, and also how I could work in my own businesses. And on top of that, what I felt like I was doing as well was giving other pharmacy owners an opportunity to, understand how best to use things like POS vendors and POS systems. Because, I felt that a lot of pharmacists just sort of put them in there, let them run themselves, and would hope for the best. And I found that the more I showed them how to invest the time into properly managing their POS system and their dispense system, really helped them drive better business outcomes. I think that was vital. Even now I work part-time in a pharmacy, a couple of hours a week, and I spend a lot of my time with the owners of that particular pharmacy, not fixing their POS system, but giving them some advice on how they could better manage their stock inventory and how to do reporting and those sorts of things. I think it's really important as a pharmacy owner to really get on top of all of that. But you also need the proper IT infrastructure. I think that's one thing that pharmacists aren't quite prepared to spend money on. I think, you kind of buy a pharmacy and you just get left with whatever system, whatever computers you've got there. But I think pharmacists now need to really start thinking about, well, what money do I need to spend on my IT infrastructure to help get the best out of what I can do in my business.
Yeah, and I guess on that note too, that from a dispensing and point of sale system, and correct me or jump in here if you think I've got it a little bit wrong, but the dispensing program today is really about managing the patient through to the PBS claim and the payment system. And there's not a lot that you can do or tinker within that area as such, because it's very much patient and doctor driven, isn't it?
In my opinion, and I expressed this to Z Software quite a lot.
Yeah.
The dispense systems need to get better at patient management. The way that pharmacists record patient interventions or patient interactions is really lacking. It's really, really poor. I think that dispense systems don't really cater well enough to have a proper patient management record. It's solely focused on the transaction of the dispense transaction. As you said, receive the script, dispense the script, claim back from Medicare. There isn't really a good opportunity for dispense vendors. There isn't really a good platform for dispense to record a proper patient interaction. You've got notes and those sorts of things, but they don't. When you compare that to what a medical vendor provides, we're talking chalk and cheese here.
It's a functional,
even
it's a functional
like
system,
being able to record.
But that's it. Yeah.
I said this to Zed. I said, why can't I just scan my doctor's letter from the patient and save it in the patient history, rather than having to have a separate folder saved somewhere in my computer, which, one pharmacist saves on the desktop, the next pharmacist saves it in my documents, the next pharmacist saves it in another folder hidden somewhere else. Whereas if I had a way to save it against the patient, it would just take as pharmacists, our clinical interaction with patients just to the next level. Something really simple.
Very interesting. I was recording another podcast this morning with a pharmacist who I think Mark Feldschuh, and we were reminiscing about his early days in pharmacy, and that there were patient cards that you had to actually write on effectively. So it's certainly come a long way from that perspective. You may not remember that. I've seen the evidence of it, but Mark was actually doing it, so I get it from that perspective. So then, from the front of shop perspective, there's again, I may be a little bit out here on the numbers, but I think the dispensary to front of shop ratio still sits around the 70, 30, 80, 20.
I think a lot more pharmacies shift a little bit more, but definitely 70, 30 seems to be about right.
Some of the bigger shopping centre pharmacies might swing towards the other way, particularly around the front of the shop, but in the main, that's your model. And from a financial and a stock management model in the dispensary, you carry good stocks in the dispensary, but it's generally known product and it's known order cycle. So you're turning over your dispensary product fairly quickly, and you've got a good reorder cycle, so that's not so bad. But if we discuss just briefly the front of shop program, this is where potentially maybe a pharmacist, but more so the retail manager or the pharmacy assistants can actually get involved in that side of things, because that's where there's potentially stock sitting on the shelf that's not turning over, and that's where the computer system and the platform can actually help you manage this a lot better.
We don't use our POS systems well enough to manage our stock inventory, and that comes from both having not enough stock and having too much of the wrong stock. I think that's critical. I think some pharmacists focus too much on not having the wrong stock instead of having too much of the right stock, if that makes sense. So I've walked into a lot of pharmacies where they've got top sellers in prime locations and there's only 1 or 2 units on the shelf. I just can't count how many times I've seen that. And so putting items like that on automatic reorder or auto replenishment when the stock is low is just something simply really, really basic.
Yes.
And your POS system can do that for you without you having to have your retail manager walk around with a clipboard and place the order. And so I think that having a good handle on your POS system to enable it to do that, setting it up from whatever point it is, to be halfway through or the start, to make sure that you've got all that information that you want right, then you can take a lot of the stress off both you and your pharmacy, your retail manager, etc. I think that's critical to retail nowadays. And that's how Woolies do it. That's how Chemist Warehouse does it. That's how all the big box retailers do it. And I think that if you want to, make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, you need to be doing that as a really basic level.
My history, pretty much all of the major dispensary front of shop programs will have a series of key reports like low margin reports. Overstock, or slow seller reports. You can easily generally bring up, the top 10 or the top 100 items, and they're the things that you really should be making sure that are in stock all the time. And again, once these are set up, this isn't hours of work. This is tens of seconds and minutes that actually can make the difference between making sure that you've got something when the customer walks in and wants it, or alternatively managing product margin management, that something might have been sold at an incorrect price, or potentially a product might have been bought at an incorrect price.
You've got to spend the time to
fixing those things up, which aren't necessarily
sit down with your
using the platform.
Retail manager, spend the time showing them what your expectations are from that level, and then once they've set it up, away they go.
As with all of the podcast guests, I'll include your contact details in here, and certainly, I guess, from a pharmacy management perspective, you'd be happy. One of the things I like about the pharmacy industry is the peer programs, and I'm sure you'd be happy to take some contact or connections from some other pharmacists interested in a bit more of your experience. Move on to what you're involved with today, PharmaPrograms, because again, whilst you and I have stayed in contact and have a bit of an understanding what each other have done, this one did catch me unawares that this is where you were and what you were doing. So you gave me some information, which I've done a little bit of research on.
Where we differ mainly from the 6 CPA or 7 CPA government programs is that all of our programs are privately funded. So they're all of our. We've currently got 12 programs in market. All of those 12 programs are funded by manufacturers. So some of our clients at the moment include Aratex, Novo Nordisk, Lundbeck, etc.
Okay.
So all of our programs, they can be either health condition focused or primary product focused, and for providing professional services, our pharmacists get paid a professional service fee by those manufacturers. And so for us, it's a great initiative because we're supporting pharmacies in delivering additional remuneration. Since PharmaPrograms started, we've paid over $37 million to community pharmacies. So this is a number we're really proud of. It's quite a significant value that we've provided to community pharmacy, and this value provided by manufacturers. So this is a clear investment in manufacturers to say, hey, we recognize the really good work that pharmacists are doing with our products or our conditions. And so therefore we'll continue to support community pharmacy through this.
Yep.
In pharma programs, we've now got over 5,400 community pharmacies which participate in at least one of our programs. Over the last 5 years, we've launched. It's a really, really significant number. Apart from those government-funded interventions, we've got the next largest network of community pharmacies.
Yeah.
And it ranges from hospital pharmacies to community pharmacies to PBS pharmacies, non-PBS pharmacies, compounding
Absolutely,
pharmacies. Yeah. We don't discriminate against anyone. So we would love to get every single pharmacy in Australia on board to all of our programs. So if you're not involved, please contact us at PharmaPrograms and check it out. But, you don't have to participate in all of our programs if you don't want to. So, maybe you don't dispense any Saxenda, therefore you may not participate in that program. But you potentially, every pharmacy in the country dispenses an osteoporosis product. And I'd probably say that 99% of pharmacies will be dispensing Prolia as a product. And so therefore we should have 100% of pharmacies participating in our programs. No obligation. There's no cost. We don't charge anyone anything to have our platform, our software, which is where we're a little bit unique. We just pay community pharmacies for providing the services. Farm program started in 2005. So programs, and as I said, now we've got 20. Over the time we've launched about 20.
Okay. All right. So in terms of then, again, you're dealing with close to the full breadth of pharmacies across Australia. So
at one stage we had, around the time when I started at PharmaPrograms, we had 7 programs, and our operations were very clunky. Again, they were very fractured. We had 7 different programs, and for pharmacists to engage in all of those 7 programs, they had to go to 7 different program websites, and we recognized that was impossible. That was a really hard thing for pharmacists to do. I'm doing dispensing Saxenda today, so I need to go to the Saxenda program website. Dispensing Lundbeck today, I need to go to the Lundbeck program website. And that really impacted significantly on the number of interventions that we had. So one of my main objectives when I started was to consolidate all of this into one main platform. And we launched towards the end of last year, the My PharmaPrograms platform. So this is a web-based self-service portal which enables all of our pharmacies to access all of our programs in one location.
Okay.
mypharmaprograms.com.au. And that meant that pharmacists didn't need to worry about remembering separate IDs or separate usernames, passwords, etc. One location, one login, and you can access all programs at once. And that meant that pharmacists could also consolidate all the work that they were doing with our programs. You could log in and submit all your claims for the 20 different programs at one time if you needed to. If that's how your business operated and that was your model of operation, then that was fine. We had no problems with that. On top of that, we gave pharmacists full visibility across all of their claims, their historical claims and payments and invoices. So previously, if a pharmacy wanted to know, had I submitted a claim? Have I submitted a claim for this person? When did I get paid? How much did I get paid? They had to call our customer service team. And this was just, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for the pharmacist. It was a nightmare for us. So again, we consolidated everything into our CRM platform and our user-based platform. And that meant that now pharmacists can go into one location. They can access all of their payment history. They can access all of their claim history. How much have they been paid? They can do some very minimal reporting just to see how they're tracking on a per month basis, which for us has been great because it's meant that pharmacists now can see the true value of what PharmaPrograms is providing their business, and they can use that to sort of benchmark against other stores and also internally to see okay, so Sarah this month submitted 10 claims and Billy submitted 2, right? Is there a reason? What's going on? Is Billy just as engaged in the business as Sarah is, etc. Lots of different things. And Bloom's, the chemist, a lot of those larger groups, Pharmacy Alliance, have got a banner group login where someone from the head office can view and track. And our plan for next year is we've got 2 products in the pipeline where we're going to be developing a smaller multi-site access. So someone who's got 3 or 4 or 5 different stores, 10 stores, or whoever it is, can access or have the visibility across those 10 stores. And the other thing that we're going to be launching next year is a piece of software integrated into PharmaPrograms, which will allow pharmacists, when they're logged into our platform, see any potential interventions that they may have missed. So currently, when you log into PharmaPrograms, you can only see the activity that you've done and not anything that you've missed, because we don't have access to dispensary data. We're going to be working with Nostra Data and building this platform where you can log into PharmaPrograms and you'll be able to see, okay, I dispensed 10 Saxenda this month, but I've only claimed 2. So I've missed 8. And this is going to be a really valuable tool. We've also got a program at the moment which is around osteoporosis intervention and identifying patients who have got poor compliance to their osteoporosis medication. And so similar thing, it'll display for pharmacists the list of patients who haven't had any osteoporosis medication. Maybe they had an alendronate dispensed 6 months ago and it's been 6 months since they've had their last one dispensed, or 30 days, or whatever we decide to set the algorithm to be. It'll show to them, okay, so XYZ patient is overdue for their alendronate or their Prolia or their Rizetronate, whatever it is. So it's something we're really proud to be launching next year.
In terms of today's technology, that's where this is all at, isn't it? Because if you're managing a business a few years ago, you might have been aware of this, you might have known that because it was part of the routine. The worst case scenario is that if you actually decide to go on holidays for a week or a month, something might have got missed, but it's still in your mind to go and follow it up.
Have to do how many programs I'm going to claim for, and sometimes these things get missed. So that's just a small part of what's happening. But on top of all of that, we want to make sure that we're capitalizing for pharmacists and our partners on every potential opportunity. We want our pharmacists to be engaged as close to 100% of the time to make sure that A, all their patients are being serviced, and B, that they're getting the most out of the potential revenue that they could be getting through PharmaPrograms. Every additional patient that the pharmacist sees, almost often results in additional prescriptions, better compliance, better quality use of medicines. Across all of our programs over the last 5 years, we've seen that a significant increase in patient compliance. It doesn't matter which program it is or what the basis of the program is. Every time our pharmacists engage with our patients, compliance is so much better. And that's good for health outcomes, it's good for pharmacy, and it's amazing for patients. We want to work with as many manufacturers as we can. So if there are any product managers out there who are interested in understanding about how PharmaPrograms could help your products, whether it be asthma, respiratory, diabetes, cholesterol, anything like that, we've got a wide range of service initiatives from patient support services, call services. We have direct-to-patient contact as well. Our PharmaPrograms platform enables us to put patients on a journey. So pharmacists can enroll a patient in Saxenda Care today, and over the next sort of 16 weeks, patients can receive a variety of emails, SMSs. They get a phone call from us here at PharmaPrograms, from our nurse or our dietitian or our pharmacist, supporting them along their weight loss journey. It doesn't have to be just with weight loss. It could be with any condition at all. So love to hear from any potential product managers or any pharmacists, or even if there are pharmacy banner groups. If you're not sure if your stores are participating, in PharmaPrograms, please reach out to me or our key account manager.
Thank you for listening today. Pharmacy View is a technology-focused podcast provided by Melbourne-based business Arian Technologies and Shopfront Solutions. Over the podcast series, our guests include pharmacists, retail managers, wholesalers, suppliers, and industry technology partners. If you would like further information on our podcast series or to participate in one of our episodes, feel free to send me a message or touch base through the Pharmacy View website, pharmacyview.com.au.